Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the final round I played at the Ram Jam Classic, a tournament at the University of Mobile that I just recently completed. If you have not watched round one, please go ahead and check that out, as I'm kind of showing you some highlights of that in the background here. Essentially, I had a round that was looking like it was going to be one of the best tournament rounds I had ever played. At one point, I was 6 down through 11. I had 7 birdies on the round. Things were looking really good. I was putting really well and was definitely just feeling very confident. But unfortunately, I had a couple of mental mishaps and just a couple of bad breaks that ultimately kind of cut my score down to 3 under par when I was on pace to shoot like a 6 or 7 under par. So a little bit disappointing to kind of see a round that was developing so well kind of crash and burn a little bit at the end, but I still managed to put together a pretty solid score, rated 927, which is pretty good for me, as I'm like in the high 800 range, I think, right now, and I'm kind of aiming for that 900 rated. So, you know, not too shabby, basically, but definitely one of those situations where it felt like, man, what could have been if I could have just cleaned up a couple little mishaps there. But either way, I was 3 under par, and I had a 1-stroke lead heading into round number 2, which we're about to get into. But first, I wanted to make a little bit of a big announcement. And folks, that announcement is that I will be returning to the hosting role for the Tournament Central show for the Disc Golf Pro Tour out on the Disc Golf Network. For those of you who didn't know, I did host a show for one round of the Dynamic Disc Open, and I also hosted the show for the entirety of the PDGA World Championships. And I have been brought back to now host the U.S. Women's Disc Golf Championships taking place in Burlington, North Carolina. I believe the dates on that are going to be September 21st through the 24th. I know it's a Thursday through a Sunday, and so that's actually going to be starting the day after I release this video, and it will be the next major for the FPO division on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. A chance for Kristen Tatar to win a Grand Slam, a chance for another FPO player perhaps to win a major. And so it should be a heck of a lot of fun. I think I'll be working with Brian Earhart again. He will be the guy out in the field that I'll be working with on the show, you know, pre-show before the round starts, and then post-round, you know, obviously recapping all the action, winners interview the final day, all that jazz. So it'll be for free on YouTube the first day, Thursday the 21st. After that, I believe everything else will be on the Disc Golf Network. But I think the Tournament Central segment sometimes get put on the Pro Tour YouTube channel for free as well, so you can check that out, and really looking forward to doing that. And just kind of wanted to let you folks know I'll be working on another broadcast for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, which is awesome. Really been enjoying getting a chance to work on these broadcasts and hoping that it just kind of continues to grow more and more, and I continue to be more and more of a staple on the Disc Golf Network going forward. It would be kind of a dream career if I was able to really get to keep working in the disc golf space alongside the stuff I do in esports. But wanted to put that announcement in there really quick. But now that that is done, let's get into the second round of my play at the Ram Jam Classic. All right, so here we go. I started on hole 9 on the original course, again with a 1-stroke lead. Just kind of a little uphill 265-foot shot. Gave the basket a run. And I'll pause here really quick because for the first time ever on this hole, and I've played this hole many times in casual rounds and practice rounds, and I honestly didn't even think about this OB sidewalk being right here. And so I threw a shot that looked pretty good. I flew right in the face of the basket. I figured I would land, you know, somewhere kind of to the left-hand side of circle 1 and have, you know, a chance at birdie. But unfortunately, I slid off the grass onto the sidewalk. I think my disc was literally maybe not even a full foot onto the sidewalk, just resting right here. And so it was out of bounds. And so I took a meter off the sidewalk towards the basket, as that's how the OB rules work. And so this was actually a par safe putt as opposed to a birdie putt. But hey, at least I limited the damage. Hole 10, I took a par, didn't catch it on film. We're now on hole 11. A pretty technical turnover shot you have to throw that eventually pans out. About 340 feet. Threw this perfectly. Got all the distance I needed. Got it to pan out. Gave myself a clean look. And I'm not going to lie, that was a little right. We can take a look at it here. You know, I'm not going to blame the basket or blame some kind of chain out. You can very clearly see I was a little bit too far right on that one. Pulled it a little bit. And so what could have been a nice birdie there turns out to be just a par. But again, at least I'm not taking any damage. I'm just kind of, you know, keeping the course. I'm still kind of in a tie for the lead. We're on hole 12, kind of a dog leg left. Looking like a great shot shape, and catch the one tree I need to miss to skip up towards the basket. And so now I am left with a really lengthy birdie putt here. And I'm also kind of having to straddle around this tree and just didn't really have a good look at it. So kind of just pitch up for the par there. So staying at even for the round. This one I was trying to flex it through the right side over the top of that like green electrical box, but I did not put enough anhyzer on it, didn't commit to the shot enough. And so I faded out really early. Threw a beautiful approach shot and wound up having pretty much just a tap-in par. So, again, keeping the card clean, but just not really finding any scoring opportunities. Then this one. What a roller coaster ride. And essentially, when I was on the tee, and this is a tee that I'm not particularly fond of. It's kind of uphill. And so I feel like I always wind up having awkward footing. But I don't know if you saw that. There's like a fly swarming me the whole time I'm rocking up, and it got inside my ear while I was throwing. And yeah, so I hate to blame something like that, but when you have a bug fly in your ear mid-throw, definitely kind of throws you off a little bit. And just yanked it right. Some nasty tree kicks. The first kick actually was good. The second kick put me in a tough spot. But this still should be a reasonable up and down for par. And, I mean, I just nailed the tree. Like, just a really big blunder there. I should have been able to easily get up to this basket and get par. And then I putt low to miss the par save. And so I take a bogey on that hole. So now I'm one over par. And I was playing for a parking lot skip on this when they have a chance at birdie. Pulled it wider than I wanted to. Got fortunate that I still got the skip I wanted. But just unable to connect. And this was tough because I was putting so well during the first round. And this round I just felt like I couldn't really get the putt going, at least early on. So now I am at, you know, still one over par. And that's tough, folks. That's a tough one. Let's take a look at this again. You know, this is a standard forehand on this over the parking lot. You can see my disc coming in. We'll pause it right here. If I just miss this stuff right here, I'm skipping up to the basket. I have a birdie putt. You know, probably like a 25 to 20 footer. I had good distance on this forehand, good height, good angle. And I literally catch the last little branches on the left side of the fairway. If I'm like a foot further, I miss these. I skip on what is a pretty fast green, really tightly packed ground. Easy skip up to the basket for a birdie putt. Instead, I get swatted straight down into the parking lot out of bounds. Really unlucky break, in my opinion. Still have a chance to save par, though. It's a lengthy putt, but it's there. And I just come up a little bit short. A little too low. Now, this is like a tip hole that got added between 17 and 18. Pulled it right, but actually got a great kick to keep it in the fairway. Got another one of these like little kind of touchy backhand shots to get up to the basket. And I just threw it poorly. Nothing I can really say other than just, yeah, not a great effort on that at all. And then I catch right side again. And we'll take a look at that one. I mean, I definitely missed right, no doubt about it. Pretty close, just a couple inches too far right. And so that's another bogey. So now I think I'm at like 2 or 3 over par at this point on the round, which ain't great. Now we're at hole 18. I laced this drive. I threw it about as inside as you can. And I'll be honest, I was surprised I was this far away from the basket because the way this hole plays is you have to be as inside to this bush as you can be. Obviously, you can't hit this tree, but you have to be as inside as possible to stop yourself from pushing too far forward out into this open field to keep yourself close to the basket to give yourself, you know, like the shortest putt possible for birdie. And I actually wound up pushing more forward than I thought. I thought I was going to be parked. And once again, I missed low. And again, this was really hurting me because I had putted so well the first round, and now I'm just missing low, missing right. Just cannot connect. And this is a hole I was just kind of playing for par. It's a little bit out of my distance range. It's like 350-ish, but it plays uphill, so wasn't really looking to birdie this hole, just looking to try to par it. Actually threw my approach shot a lot deeper than I wanted, so that was disappointing. Tester. But I hit that putt, and so that was like, all right, I'm back, you know. Let's just calm down. Let's just get back on the saddle, and we can figure this out as we get to hole 2. We had a headwind, so I threw kind of a neutral mid thinking the headwind would turn it, and it just didn't. I don't know if the wind died after I threw the disc or what happened, but it just kept flying straight, and it flew straight for forever. So I wound up throwing the disc like 70 deep of the basket. It's like a 285, 290-foot hole. I threw a mid-range almost 340 feet, so not the right time to be throwing a mid that far. Then I wound up just yanking this shot way right. So I had all the distance I needed. Actually went past the basket, but just was way off to the right. And now the wind's picking up because some bad weather's rolling in, so we're dealing with that right now. So now we have kind of like a little tunnel shot here. You have a couple different gaps you can choose from. I decided to go for the right gap with the backhand, and I hit the iron vine. This shot was looking so very good. I mean, it is dead on, turning right a little bit, going straight towards the basket, and then bloop. Iron vine slows me down. And so it cuts a lot of my distance off. And so now I'm just kind of left with a very long putt. Try to give it a step putt. Try to still give it a chance for birdie, but to no avail. So that's going to be a par, and we stay at like 3 over par, I think, for the round. And so now at this point, just to kind of tell you where I'm at, with those 3 bogeys, I dropped from 3 under par overall to even par overall. And so the leaders were, one guy on my card was ahead of me, I think by 2 strokes at this point. And then the chase card, they had a couple of guys who were shooting really well, and they were ahead of me by 3 strokes. And now I have, I think, 4 holes left to play on this round, 5, 6, 7, and 8, because we started on 9. So I'm like, man, I need to get something going here to try to have a chance. So this is a pretty easy hole, probably the easiest hole on the course, just like a 200-foot shot. And I throw it really well and give myself a nice, easy birdie putt. Just try to start clawing my way back. So now I'm at 2 over par overall. On the round, I should say, not overall. Sorry. This is a little bit of a dog leg left par 4. I throw a beautiful drive, but I just have never felt comfortable with the upshot on this hole, and I just hit right into one of the first available. Pitch out nicely, and so I'm still able to grab par on this hole, but one of those opportunities I let go to waste that could have been a birdie. Now we're on the very next hole, hole 7. Just throwing my forehand up to the basket. Executed it perfectly. And so now I have a nice little birdie putt here on hole 7. And I'm able to score it, so that puts me at 1 over par for the round. And then hole 8, a little over 300 feet, decided to play the wide lane. Nice hyzer shot there. Put myself right next to the basket, and so I'm able to grab the birdie here as well. And so this is how it wound up going down. Hole 9 is the hole I started on. Just barely trickled left out of bounds into the sidewalk, something I had never done before or never even really considered. Just has never come into play for me before, and just wasn't thinking about it. And, you know, that hurt, but I was able to save par at least, which was nice. Then I kind of parred out from there, which honestly I wasn't too upset about. 10's not normally a hole I'm able to get. 11 I can get. I just missed the putt there, so that was a little bit tough. 12, I just caught like the last tree I needed to miss to get up to the basket to have a reasonable birdie putt, so I took the par there. 13, threw a bad drive, but was able to salvage par, so no problem there. So, you know, I'm at least keeping myself at even par for the round, which is keeping me at that 3 under score overall. Then 14's the one where the bug flew in my ear on the drive, which kind of just caused me to shank it right, which just took birdie out of play. So that wasn't that big of a deal. And then I just totally screwed up the upshot. That's totally on me. And so I wound up taking a bogey on this hole because of that. 15, par, no problem. That's not a hole I normally get anyway. It's 345 feet and it plays very uphill. So it kind of makes me really have to play to the peak of my distance potential to have a chance at birdieing the hole. And it just didn't happen. No big deal. 16, this is normal course 17. That's just, again, the one where the disc hit a branch and dropped straight down onto the parking lot and was out of bounds. That was just a bad break. You know, I throw that disc a little bit more forward, like another foot, and I'm basically within probably 20 feet of the basket for a birdie putt. Instead, I drop straight down to the parking lot and have a very long par save putt, which I'm not able to capitalize on until I take a bogey. So that's a two-stroke swing, basically, off of just a bad break. So really unfortunate. I can't even really blame myself too much for this one. You know, this bogey was 100% on me. I threw a bad upshot. But this one just seemed like a really bad break. Just had to let that one go. 10th hole, screwed that up royally. Threw a bad drive, threw a bad upshot, took a bogey. That's all on me. Just not throwing the disc well. 18, a chance at birdie there. I threw a really good job off the tee. Just missed the birdie putt, which is really tough. Again, my putting was so good round one. And round two, it just wasn't coming together. But finally, on the first hole, I hit a nice putt to save par. And so that kind of got my putt confidence kind of back. You know, hole 2 just didn't really read the wind correctly. So par that hole. 3, yanked it way right, able to get the par, no problem. Hole 4, hit the iron vine of all time to get shorted, but at least I get the par. And so, like I was saying, I was basically 2 or 3 strokes off the lead going into the final 4 holes, and I wound up birdieing 3 of the final 4 to give myself a chance. But as it's, you know, all came to a head, I wound up losing the tournament by 1 stroke. 1 single stroke. 1 stroke would have got me into the playoff for first. 2 strokes obviously would have got me the outright win. And honestly, if you look back at the first round, I had a couple of bad breaks that cost me some strokes. And then in this round, I had 2 really bad breaks, in my opinion, that cost me a couple of strokes as well. So very nearly could have won this tournament by multiple strokes, and unfortunately, I wound up losing it by 1. There was actually a tie for first. They had to do a playoff, so I wound up being solo third at the end of it. And, yeah, that's really tough. I will say, though, I'm at least happy that despite the fact that I started 3 over par through this first half, I guess, of the round, I was able to keep my composure and then fight back and grab 3 birdies across the final 4 holes to at least put myself, you know, back on the podium. Because I think I dropped all the way down to like 7th or 8th place at one point when I was getting these bogeys because the scoring was pretty tight. But to be able to battle back, you know, these last 4 holes, and granted, some of these holes are kind of easy, but still, the fact that I executed them properly, got the putts to hit to grab my birdies, and then hole 8, the last hole I played, that's no gimme. You know, it's a little over 300 feet. There's definitely, you know, a gap you have to hit, some trees you have to miss, and I threw a really good tee shot that parked the hole, basically, and gave me a tap-in birdie to finish the tournament. So I was really happy with that, and that's kind of the way she goes. And so to kind of wrap this thing up, overall, I was pretty happy with my tournament performance. Again, I thought I played a really good round 1. It was a round I was on pace to shoot like a 6 or 7 under par. I made a couple of mistakes that cost me, and then I had 1 really bad break on 1 hole that cost me a stroke. And so instead of shooting that 6, 7 under par, I wound up only shooting 3 under par. But it was still a good round, still was well above my rating, and still put me in the lead by a stroke. And so, you know, I was in control, so to speak. But coming into round 2, I just had a really slow start. I went 3 over par through the first half of the round. But again, I was able to battle back and put myself in a position to birdie 3 of the final 4 holes to kind of salvage things and still put myself in the, you know, contention for the win, but ultimately wound up taking a 3rd place finish, losing by a stroke. And so all in all, a pretty good tournament. Again, I just need to work on some decision making and just kind of clean up some of my upshots and just keep the putting going. You know, my putting practice has certainly paid off. Definitely felt really good. And even my drives are looking more accurate. I had a couple of little mishaps here and there, but overall, my shot shaping has definitely gotten much improved, I guess you could say, over these last few months, and definitely had some really good shots I could be proud of out there on the course. And so with that said, folks, I hope you all enjoyed the content here on the channel. If you could, if you're not already, please go ahead and subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. You know the deal. Trying to grow the channel more and more. I passed over 1,000 subscribers not too long ago. I think we're already at 1,050, so we're starting to really make a nice little climb. I'm not really sure what the next goal is for me. I mean, obviously I just want to keep making content, keep growing the channel, and see where it takes me. But obviously, this was kind of just a fun thing for me to do to kind of keep myself involved in the sport. And the real goal is to continue to be involved on the live broadcast on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Hopefully maybe even work myself into the commentator booth to do some play-by-play commentary for a tournament, maybe start out silver event, and then, work myself into an Elite Series event or something like that down the line. And it's awesome I'm getting these hosting gigs for Tournament Central. I'm also really enjoying that. In an ideal world, I would do both, hosting and some commentary. So, again, I appreciate all support, and, I look forward to putting out more content on this channel and working more and more with the Disc Golf Pro Tour broadcast. And so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Again, thank you all so much. I hope that you'll just continue joining me along for the ride as I continue to put content out here and continue to try to make a name for myself in the broadcasting space. Peace out.